Hello and welcome to the See It Now podcast, a 15-minute review of a movie near you. Today, what is the movie we're doing, Don?
We are going to do 2,000 Meters to Andriivka, a Ukrainian film about the conflict with Russia, directed by Mstislav Chernov.
And what did you think about the movie? What are some things you liked about it?
Well, it's hard to say anything bad about this film. It's a phenomenal film. It's by the same director. Chernov also directed 10 Days in Mariupol, which won the Oscar 4 years ago or 3 years ago at the Academy. And that's about the conflict, same conflict, but that's when it just started out. And that was set in Mariupol, which was a city captured by the Russians. And this is a story of the Ukrainians trying to recapture a much smaller town of maybe like 100, 200 people called Andriivka. And it's a harrowing, battle focused film, which will keep you on the edge of your seat.
Yes, so this movie is all about Andriivka, a forest in the east of Ukraine. It's about how time doesn't matter, but here distance does. Actually, the movie opens on this quote by Hemingway that says, "There were many words that you could not stand to hear, and finally only the names of places had dignity."
I mean, this film is it's about. I mean, I guess all documentaries are. It's about people, and they're just trying to live their lives. Here, they're not just trying to live their life day to day, working on a job or whatever. They're trying to take back the land that was taken from them. And the soldiers, they're not people that are career soldiers. They're soldiers because they have to be soldiers. They have to be enlisted. I mean, they're fighting for their country. Andriivka is a town that was in Ukraine, and they're trying to take the town back. And it's not glory for Ukraine. It's not, let's, erect statues and talk about the glories of war. This is about survival and people wishing to have their lives back and their country back. I was really lucky that I saw this film at the local theater up in Pleasantville, where I live, at the Jacob Burns, and the director was in attendance, and he's on a circuit right now to promote the film for the award season, which is we're in the middle of, or I guess the end of now, because the Oscars have been announced. This film sadly was not nominated. The previous film did win Best Picture. I think this film is as good. I mean, comparing which is better is a silly idea, but it's an incredibly well made film that makes you feel what it's like to be in a conflict. The feeling of what that's like, it from a place where you're not in a war, it feels like a video game. So there's a lot of helmet cams and a lot of body cams of just following the conflict. This 2,000 meters is incredibly narrow piece of, they say forest, but literally it's 20 meters wide, if that. And they're just going straight up this patch because they can't go on either side of it because it's completely mined. And they have to go up this patch where it's not mined. And they're just trying to get to Andriivka to recapture the town. Manon, what did you think about, the making of the film and what it was trying to do?
I thought it was a beautiful film and it's very human. And as you just mentioned, it is a film that's not about showing the life of these soldiers, but living it. And the opening scene right after that quote I talked about is filming this soldier, and the soldier says, "Film how beautiful I am." And the person filming says, "That's exactly what I turned the camera for." And I think that sets the tone for the film. The film, as I said, isn't even about the soldier's mind. It's about it's about moving like the camera's moving like the soldier's mind. Like it's growing through all those conversations between tactics and laughter where life insists even in the middle of the chaos and the war. And it's a really beautiful movie. It does feel like a video game, because from the beginning you're on the helmet of a soldier, so you see his hands, you feel like you're fully in it. And it's a very beautiful way to film a documentary about a war like that, to try to put you in their shoes. You're placed in this experience that really you can't escape. It's not a movie about comfort. You find yourself in those trenches like a soldier. You're in this, like, almost claustrophobic state. You're, like, stuck in trucks sometimes, and it's very uncomfortable. You're It's all guided by sound. You hear gunshots everywhere, screams. It's a very interactive, experience, and yeah, you're just there. It has this relentless intensity, and yeah.
Well, the thing I find remarkable about it, because as you say, it's simply these guys going 2,000 meters to get to this decimated town. But it does actually construct character, and so you do follow and you relate to people, and, sadly, it is about, pretty intense, war conflict and people die, and so we see people die. It's not in a dramatic sequence, there's no music in this film. There's a little bit in the beginning and the end and a little bit other parts, but it's not overly dramatized, so we see this one character, Gagarin, who dies, and he's in front of us, and he's no longer moving in the sequence, and he dies, and then from there, the story goes to his funeral, and we just go back there briefly, and uh, there's a sequence there which is quite stunning. We see the funeral march and people talking, but then there's also this bird's eye view of all these graves with flags flying over them high up, and we're just seeing all the people that died. And then the audio at that time is from a newscast. I'm just gonna read it. I gotta find the so the audio is, "There's no path for military victory here, only more death." And it's not about victory and glory. It's simply about survival, and the only way for the Ukrainians in this part of the conflict, of this part of the country, to survive is to fight for their control of where they live. And so they're just doing it because they have to do it. The interesting thing is, as I said, I watched it in the theater with the director. There was, somebody that asked a question, and she said, "Well, you know why don't the Ukrainians stop fighting? Like, why don't they stop? And then we can reduce all this death." And he said, "You don't understand the conflict. The conflict is not we're fighting over some disputed territory. The Russians invaded our country, and it's like a home invasion. They came into our country, and we simply don't want them taking over our land." And anyone could imagine, if whatever city you live in, whatever town you live in, if a different country comes in to invade you with military soldiers, you don't want them there anymore.
Yeah, and we actually meet some of these people. We meet soldiers, like, one that stuck with me was, this soldier Freak, that, we learned that he was 12 when Russia first, invaded Ukraine in 2014, and he's 22 at the time of the film in 2023. And while we're having this conversation with him, we're having close-ups of his eyes. We feel very connected to him. We laugh with him. And then in voiceover, the director tells us that in 5 months, Freak's buddy is gonna be nowhere to be found. And that's the truth. Death is portrayed as you meet these soldiers and then they just disappear from frame. And I mean, the film doesn't give you any cues, emotional cues on how to feel, which I feel is very beautiful. It just relates heavily on the footage and the audience.
And I think it's so stunning because, as you said, the whole film is about getting somewhere, and we get there. We actually get there, and they put the flag, and they get it. They got nothing. The city's in the town. It's not a city. It's a town. It's annihilated. And then we find out later. Well, I'm not sure if it's in the cards at the end, but the director told us it's been recaptured by the Russians. And so they get to the place they're supposed to get. And I mean, talk about the meaninglessness of life. I mean, my goodness, they did everything they were supposed to do. They did it, and then they retreat, and it's all gone. And even what they got to was there was nothing there.
Some people might find that, in these times, and especially when I talk about people from my generation, for example, about movies, they tell me that for them, watching movies is about finding a way to escape. And I do think that, it's important to have some movies to find a way to escape from what's happening, but it's also so important to through this art medium to show what's happening and to have this communication with the audience where you're totally immersed in it. You don't walk out of it like it sits with you after you've seen it. You don't walk out of it changed or transformed, but you feel like you've actually briefly been there.
All right, Manal, let's go through our top three documentaries, and maybe connect those in some way. But what is your third best, or one of your documentaries that you think is something we should see?
My third, I have to mention my hometown. Paris is Burning, from 1990.
My third is the Mundo King, sorry, by Michael Domenico, and it's about a guy that builds a castle in Costa Rica from Germany, and it's great subject. The guy's a fascinating interview, and you should see it. It's online somewhere. Look that one up. All right, what's your next one, Mano?
My next one is Daguerreotypes by Agnès Varda. It's a beautiful film by the pioneer, of the French New Wave, Agnès Varda, where she films just, Rue Daguerre, which is the street she lived in forever in Paris, and she films the people around there. And it's a really beautiful documentary, and she actually started with portrait photography of taking photos of these people, and you learn more about them, and it's a very gorgeous film.
Well, a couple things I want to say about that. Her personal connection to the subject matter, incredible. And I know she's also an inspiration for you. So I am thrilled that you're mentioning Miss Varda. My second one is Hoop Dreams, which is a documentary about young kids. Starts when they're like 12, and they live in Chicago in very difficult urban situation. And they're both good basketball players, and they aspire to make the NBA. And not to ruin the film, but neither of them don't. Not a surprise. And it really says a lot about what we always keep talking about, the American dream, and highly compelling. These guys that made the film, 7 years making the film, really committed. All right, but now what do you got? Final one.
The first one I put is No Other Land. It's pretty recent, 2024, and I think it's a very important movie to see. Very political as well. It follows Palestinian activists, and it's a very beautifully shot and incredible film. So
All right, I got to see that. I haven't seen it. And my top one is Honeyland. It's from 3 4 years ago. It was actually nominated for both best foreign and maybe best documentary, but also best picture. It's about people that get honey from wild bees in Macedonia, and it's not really about that. That's the main follow topic, but we follow the people, and documentaries like film. You tell a story about people, and this film does it. And the cinematography, gorgeous. All right, what do we do now, man? I don't know what to do anymore. Mike's not here. I'm lost.
we are lost without Michael.
We're lost without Mike.
So
Um,
what movie are we gonna do next? What are we thinking about?
yeah. Before that, I think we should mention this film is not at a theater near you. Maybe it is. I don't think so though. It's on YouTube and on Frontline, which is a part of PBS in America. It's available for download free. Really watch it. I mean, it's a hell of a film. So watch it on your screen, as big a screen as possible, because the cinematography is gorgeous. What are we doing next, Manal? What's coming up? We're going to do this in a couple weeks. We got to get going. Oscar season's on us.
We do gotta get going. We're thinking about doing Oscar nomination films. So Sinners, Marty Supreme. If you've got any requests, you can tell us. We need to cue an alright band. Done.
The Grateful Dead. I miss you, Bob Weir. You're not the other one. You're the one.